Most of us know the story of the fox and the grapes. A fox spots a beautiful cluster of grapes hanging from a vine. They look perfect, ripe, exactly what he wants. So he jumps and misses. And he jumps again, higher and harder, more desperately, and still the fox cannot reach the grapes. Finally, exhausted and frustrated, the fox walks away muttering, "Those grapes were probably sour anyway." And we're taught that this is a story about sour grapes, about rejection, and about pride. But I want to offer a different perspective because I think the story might actually be about what happens when we become fixated on what we believe will finally fix us, and then we stop listening to what we actually need. And nowhere do I see this more clearly than in the world of women's health. Welcome to Incandescent Voltage, Luminous Being. My name is Tiffany, and I have been a functional medicine board certified health coach since 2017. Everything shared on this channel is intended for educational and reflective purposes only and is not medical advice. You are the keeper of your own current, so please seek medical or mental health support whenever needed. When people hear the fox and the grapes fable, oftentimes they think it's about rejection. But I think we should talk about something a little bit more personal. I think this fable happens when we become convinced that the answer to our problems is hanging just outside of our reach, and that if we just get to it, everything will finally fall into place. Because every year in the wellness world, there's a new set of grapes, a new diet, a new supplement, a new protocol, a new miracle solution, a new promise that this time everything will finally change. If I can just lose the weight, if I can just find the right diet, if I can just balance my hormones, if I can just get on a GLP-1, if I can just find that missing supplement, if I can just follow the perfect morning routine, then everything will fall into place. And to be clear, sometimes those things genuinely help. Sometimes hormone replacement therapy is exactly what the body needs. Maybe you are a person who would do really well with a GLP-1. Sometimes the dietary change creates real relief. This isn't a conversation about whether those tools are good or bad. It's a conversation about the energy from which we are pursuing them. Because this is a profound difference between wisdom and desperation. Desperation really is a catalyst in how we make decisions. When we are desperate, we stop asking questions. We stop looking at trade-offs. We stop considering whether the thing we are chasing can actually deliver what we hope it will. Desperation doesn't necessarily make us foolish, but it can make us very vulnerable to certainty. And certainty, ooh, that sells. The health industry knows this. The diet industry knows it. The supplement industry knows it. Social media knows this. They're all eager to offer another beautiful, shining cluster of grapes and then hold it just out of reach. It's going to be the thing that promises that everything will finally change. But here's a question I really don't hear very many people asking. What if the grapes aren't actually the answer? What if they're simply the thing keeping us from asking a more important question? While many people are chasing the perfect protocol, they're only sleeping 5 hours a night. While searching for the ideal supplement, They haven't taken a walk in months. While researching the latest biohack, they're carrying stress levels that would overwhelm almost anyone. And while fixating on food noise, they haven't had an honest conversation with someone they love in years. The answer isn't always another intervention. Sometimes the answer is the quiet thing, the boring thing, the thing that nobody wants to hear. Sleep, protein, hydration, movement, sunlight, boundaries, rest, consistency. These practices don't feel exciting or sexy enough to become trends, but they might be exactly what the body needs. Traditional Chinese medicine offers a beautiful lens for this through yin and yang. Yang energy is movement, action, doing, pushing, and striving. Yang is the fox jumping again and again and again, believing that one more leap will finally bring relief. And yang energy has tremendous value. We need it. We need action and effort and momentum. But when yang exists without yin, we become obsessed with chasing. Yin is different. Yin pauses and listens and receives. Yin creates that inner stillness where wisdom can actually emerge. When yang energy runs unchecked, the nervous system stays in a constant state of reaching, always moving toward that next answer, the next expert, the next new protocol, the next set of shiny, beautiful, sexy looking grapes, never settling, never arriving, and never truly resting. The fox believed the answer was hanging in the vine, but he never considered the wisdom might be waiting in the stillness. Many of us do exactly the same thing. We become so focused on reaching the grapes that we forget to ask a far more important question. What am I truly hungry for? Sometimes what appears to be a health problem is actually a loneliness problem. Sometimes what looks like a weight problem is actually an exhaustion problem. Sometimes what looks like a food problem is actually a nervous system problem. Sometimes what looks like a hormone problem is actually a life alignment problem. Not always, but often enough that the question really deserves to be asked. The body is remarkably intelligent. It's constantly sending signals, but when we become obsessed with the grapes, we stop being able to hear them. We assume the answer is outside of us. We're always looking for that thing hanging just outside of our reach, and we keep jumping, and the body keeps waiting. So the lesson of the fox and the grapes isn't that the grapes were bad. The lesson is that the fox gave those grapes way too much power. Sometimes the grapes are weight loss, and sometimes they're a perfect hormone balance. Sometimes they're a supplement, a diet, a GLP-1, and sometimes they're simply the belief that happiness and health exist beyond our current reach, and that we'll finally deserve rest only when we get there. But freedom doesn't arrive when we finally reach the grapes. Freedom begins the moment we stop jumping long enough to ask, what am I truly hungry for? Because many of the things that we chase are not needs, they're signals. And your body has been trying to tell you the difference all along. The fox had been so focused on what he believed would save him that he stopped tending to what was already sustaining him. The grapes were never the problem, the chasing was. And perhaps the most radical act of wellness isn't actually adding another protocol, but maybe it's pausing long enough to sit with the earth beneath your feet and ask, what does my body actually need from me right now? Not what the latest study says, not what the algorithm is recommending, not what the woman with the perfect before and after photo is selling, but what does your body need? Because your body is not confused. It's not broken. It's not failing. Your body is sending signals. And healing may begin the moment you stop chasing long enough to finally hear your body's signals. Before we close, I want to let you know that I will be sharing some reflective questions in the community tab tomorrow. And you can use them for journaling and contemplation. If you so choose, you can use them in a session with a trusted counselor or therapist, whatever feels supportive for you. Just remember, there is no pressure to have immediate answers. Sometimes healing comes when we simply give space for the questions themselves. Thank you for choosing to be part of all of this today here, Luminous Being, choosing to be part of the conversation. And if something in this conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear how this information shifted the way you view yourself, your body, or your particular season of life. What expanded your self-awareness as you listened? These conversations are not about perfection. They're about learning how to listen honestly, with curiosity, compassion, and clarity to our own bodies. And if this episode supported you in some way, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who may need these words as well. If you would like to go deeper, I invite you to explore my free 5-day email course linked below, where ancient wisdom meets modern science to support your own health, nervous system, and wellness journey. And until next time, may you continue healing at the speed of safety.